Welcome to the Boots podcast. On this episode, we catch up with member of the new management team, Bren. We talk about his journey to become part of Welling Town, the difficult defeat to Holland and Blair last weekend, and a look ahead to this Saturday's match against Whitstable Town. Up the Boots. Good morning, Bren. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
It's lovely to have you on our Boots podcast. I'm going to jump straight into it. Obviously, there is we've had on the socials the announcement of a new management team, which is including yourself. How did that all come about?
Well, the process was, it sort of happened fairly quickly, to be honest. Now, Billy, who works alongside me, he's been at sort of Welling Town for the season with a couple of youth sides. He does the sevens and the tens. So he's obviously in constant contact with Kev. We was obviously over at Ide Hill, as probably everyone knows, and I think Kev's just kept an eye on how we're doing, just through Billy and the relationship he's got with Billy. Really, we was having a fairly successful season, and we was getting a bit of a decent side together. He's obviously kept an eye on us and sort of offered to start some talks with us over recent weeks. So we obviously took him up on his offer.
And what attracted you to Welling Town? What was exciting about the offer that you thought, yeah, this is what we want to do?
Well, obviously the level is where we want to be, and we've always sort of had that kind of ambition is to climb them levels. With the offer that Kev put in front of us, it was something that we wasn't expecting. It's a good opportunity, and obviously with the club changing its home ground to Cobdown, it made it very attractive for us. And obviously, having spoke to Kev and his plans for the future for next season, it became very attractive, and we decided to sort of thrash out a bit of a way forward, and we took him up on his offer.
So your first game was the game against Holland and Blair, which we obviously need to talk about. It was a bad day at the office.
It was indeed. I'd like to say that our input into that day wasn't what it should have been, being it was the first game. We hadn't trained that week, so largely it was the first time we met any of them players whatsoever. So we could, it was difficult. It was hard to watch, but I think moving forward, I think we can make positive steps, and hopefully get a few points on the board over the next few weeks.
Well, lots of people say it's easier to learn from a loss than it is from a win. So there's obviously a lot that you could take from that game that you think, right, yes, this is what we need to work on. What sort of things do you think are fundamentally the things that need to be taken into account and things that really need to be looked at?
Well, firstly, I'd like to put some cohesion into it. It was, there's players, there's a high turnover of players, as everyone is well aware this season. Players leaving, players coming in, players getting injured, etc. It seems like it's been a long, difficult season for Welling up to this point. So players leaving and players sort of playing with injuries doesn't help. But I'd like to think that we can form some togetherness with the group, get a little bit more cohesion within that group, and obviously that will have good signs on the pitch moving forward. But yeah, it's like I say, it was an extremely difficult watch, but I do think that we probably caught Holland and Blair on a very, very good day for them. They did play well, and in all due respect, they were a good side. They got a high budget. They've got good players in there, ex-pros. So yeah, it was disappointing to see, but like you say, you can learn from them mistakes and you can pinpoint certainly some fundamentals that have to be changed.
So there was on the podcast last week, Kev spoke about the performance against Corinthian, who were doing very well, and he said it was a great display, and people couldn't believe the difference. I don't know whether or not you're in a position to give any input on that, because obviously you weren't there at the Corinthians. But what was the difference between the mindset or the momentum that Welling had against Corinthian to how they turned out against Holland and Blair?
I'd imagine, having not been there, I didn't see the Corinthian performance, but I'd imagine that staying in a game helps, and going 1-0 up against Corinthians obviously creates a bit of belief, and you've got something to fight for, something to hang on to. I do understand that from the report, I think it was just a couple of mistakes through naivety that obviously give Corinthian their result. But moving on the following week, it should have created a huge amount of belief within the group. There was personnel changes between the two games, I believe, and that probably had a bit of a detrimental effect on it. But like I say, the two performances were obviously worlds apart. 2-1 defeat against Corinthians flying high, and a 10-1 defeat against a Holland and Blair that are sort of mid-table. But like I say, Holland and Blair they'll improve as the season goes on. They're definitely a team that are going to be on the up. New management team as well. A budget that sort of a lot of teams could only sort of wish for. So yeah, that was fundamentally what the difference is between the two performances, I'd say.
So obviously there's been a couple of training sessions this week. What have you said to the lads to kind of dust themselves down and get them going again? Because it's got to be hard to go back into a next game after losing 10-1.
It is extremely hard. Spirits have to be lifted. We've only had one training session, which was on Wednesday night. There were some faces there that obviously, or faces and attitudes there that are obviously up for the battle. It's not to put a down on it. I think understanding the position that the club are in at the moment will actually create a bit of desire and a bit of fight for the next 11 games. And the ability's there for sure, 100%. The ability's there, but is the desire there? That will be questioned over the next few games for sure. And then coming out of these next few games, we'll find out who's up for this and who isn't.
You said there's still plenty of football to play, and it's another tough one on Sunday against Whitstable Town. Do you know much about them, how their season's going, and what sort of game are you expecting them to bring?
They're a ball-playing team. They obviously play their home games on a 3G, so they'll definitely. I mean, their ethos would be get the ball down and play, move the ball quickly. They'll have a couple of quick wide players, I'd imagine. Goalkeeper's very good as well, and they've got plenty of experience through their squad. Marcel is a good manager. He's got them into 6th. I know they had a very good run of maybe 7 or 8 wins in a row early doors in the season. So yeah, they'll be good. They'll obviously see Saturday as 3 points. Maybe they'll be a little bit complacent, but I can't see it. I think Marcel will have them, obviously, with a professional attitude. They're currently pushing for playoffs, so they will definitely look at the game as 3 points towards that playoff position. But we'll be up for it. We'll unite us. We'll be together, and we'll do everything we can to stop them getting a positive result, and hopefully we can get a positive result ourselves.
Well, there's like I said, still lots of football to play, and lots of football's a funny old game. It can go either way at any time. There'll be a lot of surprise wins, surprise defeats,
There will
and
be.
we can
Yes.
only hope that they go our way.
We will do our very best to make sure they go our way. And one thing's for sure, as management, I can speak on behalf of myself, Billy, and Luke. From what we know of Kev and Steve, we will fight until it's mathematically not viable. So we've got some big games ahead, big challenges, and it's about putting a group together that is very much up for it.
Well, thank you very much for your time, and good luck for Sunday. We'll hear from you again shortly.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.